Okay, I believe we're recording.
All right. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the We the Locals podcast. My name is Josie.
I'm Jessica.
And we got Stu pushing buttons over here. Hi, Stu.
Hello.
And Abby, not with us. So in case you guys missed it, Abby has made the decision to take a little hiatus, what's it called, siesta from the podcast so she can focus on her commissioner duties and some other projects that she's working on for this year. So shout out to Abby. The podcast will not be the same without you.
That's
We
right.
already miss you.
Yes, we do.
And
yes, we do.
we're going to muddle our way through.
And hopefully she'll visit us quite often.
Yes, she is a welcome guest host to come on the show anytime she would like. So hopefully, I mean, you definitely haven't heard the last from her. She'll pop in here and there.
She'll be giving us updates about Broward, I'm sure,
Yes.
making sure that everybody knows what's going on. While we're focusing more on Palm Beach.
Yeah, exactly, keeping us in the loop. So, and then as well, not sure if you can tell, but we are not live currently. We had a little schedule part of the transition to Abby not being here, is we had a little scheduling conflict with our studio, and we could not get our normal time slot. So we decided to go ahead and record the episode ahead of time so we didn't deprive you of our wonderful presence. So we're recording, just so you know, though, it is only a couple hours ahead of when we drop the live episode. So all of the information we're bringing is up to date as of basically when we're dropping the episode as of today. So today is Thursday, January 23rd. It is 4:30 p.m. and
3 days since the inauguration.
And 3 days since the inauguration. I know a lot of the commentators' voices are all still raspy and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really funny
Everybody
to watch.
seems to be sick.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We saw a bunch of people at the REC meeting last night who were up in DC, and they all came back sick from partying too hard, apparently. And I mean, darn for them.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of
So
us.
sad.
So sad. There's snow everywhere in Florida except for here. All we get, I was just talking about this on my way here. All we're getting down here, not that I'm advocating for snow, but it would feel like a little bit, we're having gray skies, wet, cold rain, but it's not quite cold enough to feel like comforting cold. It's like moist, like
It's
humid
nasty.
cold.
Yeah.
Like I feel like my hair's still frizzy. Everything in the house is damp because you have to leave the windows open or the air conditioner never clicks on. It's like this weird, like it doesn't know what it wants to do.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
very South Florida.
Yeah, exactly. It's very funny seeing all of the pictures online of all of the snow that's
So
falling
much snow.
everywhere.
It's like inches of snow.
Yeah,
It's
so
crazy.
I guess it was in Pensacola. I guess they were out in the streets, and they're throwing snowballs in the
Yes,
streets, and
because
like
Florida people are going to Florida.
exactly. and the little saying on it says it shouldn't snow in Florida. We can't handle the responsibility.
I've seen like the funniest memes and the funniest things of like people like Canada. Your weather got loose. Come pick it up. We do not want it.
That's
Oh
a
my
good one,
gosh,
too,
it's so
yeah.
funny. But yet here we are. It's still like it's just funky, weird weather here.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
abnormally cold because usually
all that global
like,
warming.
yeah, it's like like it will drop into like the 50s for a couple weeks
Once.
here and there, but
For like one window of time. I feel like I don't buy my kids like winter
Yeah.
gear for their uniforms for school because like I get them a pair of tights and like or like they each have like one warm clothing and then they have their sweaters because it's always cold in their buildings.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh my gosh, my one is like, Mom, can I get sweatpants? I'm like, no, I don't want to buy you sweatpants. We've got one more week of cold weather. I'm not buying you sweatpants. Wear the tights. But it's
Yeah.
multiple days. I was like, oh man, if I would have known this, I would have bought it back in
Yeah.
like November when it was cold and we
Yeah.
had like cold weather. And my kids are like out of long sleeve shirts where they're like, this isn't working. This
I
isn't
know.
working
I'm
for
like,
me.
I am not prepared for this. I'm digging all the way in the back of my closet. I'm like, this
Oh,
is
man.
not
I think-
convenient.
I think they got 10 inches of snow.
Yeah.
In Pensacola.
Yeah.
Wow,
And then like
that's
coming
crazy.
down through like the northern part of like it's like inches of snow. Like I saw this one video of a guy with a leaf blower blowing like snow, like weighted snow off of his screened-in patio.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Absolutely
So-
crazy.
Before we get going, almost forgot. If you would like to be a sponsor of our show, we are currently seeking sponsorships to keep our lights on. If you're a business or a candidate and you would like to get your name out there, please let us know. We would be happy to have you sponsor us. Or if you just like to donate to keep our lights on, you can do that as well. You can do that through either a Rumble rant or Super Chat. No, you can't because we're not live. Ha! That's part of my script, and I just remembered we're not live. So you can't do that, but you can donate at our website. So
I think they can still donate.
you can still, but I don't think you can do it through the Super Chats or the Rumble
Right.
rant.
I think it's just
They could. We just wouldn't see them.
No, I don't even think the system's not set up to do it through. Still.
Yeah. You can always donate.
You
through
can
our
always
website.
donate through the website. So strike what I just said. It's part of my normal script, and forgetting that we're
We've
not
been-
live.
This is now our 40th episode.
Is it
we're-
our 40th episode?
Yep. So we're getting into that, like, it's kind of second nature
Yeah.
what we say and how we say it. So
And we've only done one other pre-recorded
Yeah.
episode. So this is not our normal. It's very weird.
it
I'm
is weird.
like, I guarantee at some point tonight, I'm going to be like, hey, so do we have any comments from the audience? Because that's
Well, I
just
could
how it
always
works.
make a comment.
Yeah, you know what, Stu? No, we don't always want to hear your comments. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
no, we don't.
Hey,
Just giving him a hard time, guys.
Alright.
It's part of what we do. So if you like, but you can still like and subscribe and share this episode to all of your platforms and all of your friends, neighbors, and enemies. And we'd appreciate the support both for the channel and the episodes. So,
is it
Yep.
enemies or frenemies?
both.
Okay.
Anybody who wants to watch and listen.
Or not watch and listen, that you just want to spam them with great content. All right.
All
So,
right.
what do we got?
So we are all municipal elections right now. So
In the
that's
zone.
So
That's right.
Election day is Tuesday, March 11th. There is no early voting for municipals, so keep that in mind. You can do your vote by mail. So you can request that through the votepalmbeach.gov
Which you need to do
website. That will get you through the next general cycle. So that
if you
will
click
get
the box.
if you get through that will get you through 2026 general election, which is our gubernatorial races, and all of that good stuff. So like I said, election day is Tuesday, March 11th. Deadline to register to vote. So if you are new to the area and just checking out how to get involved locally, the deadline to register to vote to be able to vote in the municipals is Monday, February 10th. 2025, so that's just a couple weeks away. Deadline to request a vote by mail after you're registered is February 27th by 5 p.m. And then the deadline to return your vote by mail ballot is Tuesday, March 11th by 7 p.m. So that's the deadlines as far as municipals. I can go over. There are 12 municipalities in Palm Beach County that have elections on March 11th. I'll go through those quickly. So we have Boynton Beach, Gulf. We have Highland Beach, Jupiter, Lake Park, Lake Worth Beach, Lantana, Loxahatchee Groves, Pahokee, Palm Beach Gardens, Riviera Beach, and Royal Palm Beach. If you go to the election website, the SOE, votepalmbeach.gov, if you click under elections, election dates and deadlines, you can actually see the municipalities. You can click on them and you can see the sample ballot. So you know what's on the ballot. And we have several municipalities that have ballot questions or amendments that they're looking to have passed.
So, and keep in mind that if they're on that city, that's specifically for that charter or for that city or municipality. So there's a lot of nuances and differences between municipalities and stuff like that. And so make sure that, especially if you're new, that you check and see what is happening in your specific municipality. And if you don't live in a municipality, you live in the county, which means you don't have an election. So don't worry about it.
You're safe.
You're safe. Yeah. So again, if you're new to the area or new in general to Palm Beach County, that there's a lot, just because on your address, if it has the city, doesn't always mean that you live in the municipality. You know, I was like older than I should have been before I knew that.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in
Mhm.
West Boca. I was unincorporated, so I never really thought. Of course, I didn't pay the taxes. I didn't deal with any of the city services or anything like that, so I didn't have any reason to know that. But yeah, it took me. I was like,
I didn't even know what a county commission was until 2020.
well, I didn't know that either. But my point is I was shook as a upper teenager, close to young adult, before I realized that I didn't live in the city of Boca.
Right. Yeah.
Like shook.
I'm like, what do you mean? My address is Boca Raton.
It's like, I live in Boca. And they were like, no, you don't live in Boca. And I was like, I live in Boca. It says Boca Raton. What do you mean? Yeah. So
yeah, so a lot of people don't understand that. So that's a good thing to clarify. And also is that we're by precincts and you have to vote at your precinct. So
Yes.
there's not like there's no early voting. So it's not like you can go to the library and vote unless it's your dedicated precinct
on election day.
on election day. So this is what a lot of Republicans have been wanting. So consider
Except for there's early vote. Except for there's vote by mails.
right. So we're in a good place to have a good election, I think, in March 11th. And another thing to remember too is these are nonpartisan races.
Yes.
So it's really important to vet the candidates, ask them questions, reach out to them, find out where they're going to be, and make sure that you are an educated voter. You'll start seeing the Democrat Party and the Republican Party come out and support their their preferred candidates and things like that. So that will give you kind of an idea of where they're at.
But a lot of them in these races are NPAs, so they're not going to get the support of either party because they're registered NPAs. So yeah, I would tag on what she said. What Jessica's saying is especially in the smaller cities, you should be able to call your candidate. And you find the candidates. All of them have websites. I'm sure all of them have contact forms or contact me. In smaller races like this, a lot of times the candidate is wearing all the hats. They're running their campaign. They're their person. They might have volunteers or a consulting firm or something like that, but they are the ones who will be doing a lot of the things. They're much more accessible. And they're the ones, which is how the Constitution is designed, that the government is close to you, is the most accessible to you. So take some time, call them, say, can I meet you for coffee? I have a list of questions. Take a minute to go through your previous city council or city commission videos to watch, the meetings if you are not familiar with what the issues are, or if you're like, no, this is an issue that I have in my city. I don't like the way my sanitation is picked up. I don't like my taxes. I do love this, or I love that, or I love what the city is offering, and I want to pick a candidate that's going to stick with these things. It doesn't always have to be the negative. I don't like this, therefore I wanted to change it. I like this, and I want someone who's going to keep it. So figure out the things that are important to you in living in your city, and then see how the candidates line up to the things that you want in your city. If you like your safe streets, if you don't like your unsafe streets, how are they going to solve these problems? Development, that's a huge thing. I know I keep seeing this thing popping up on Instagram talking about how Palm Beach County is going to be the next, Wall Street and all this and Silicon Valley and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and all the comments are like, no, no, we don't want that. So if you live in the city of West Palm Beach is very, very interesting because a lot of the cities in Palm Beach County and in South Florida in general have what are called city manager type governments, meaning that the person in charge of the city operations is a city manager, a hired paid city manager that doesn't change very often. Versus what's called a strong, and I know we've talked about this in past episodes, versus what's called a strong mayor system, which is when you elect someone as the mayor, they are the CEO, the person in charge of the city. So a lot of cities operate where it's the city manager and the city mayor is a little bit more just ceremonial as like the mayor. Like you're on the council and they have a vote on the council.
That sign the contracts that kind of just finalize.
They wave the gavel and stuff like that, but they don't actually have like the overall say of the city. In West Palm Beach, the city of West Palm, so we have the island of Palm Beach, and then across the bridge, you have the city of West Palm Beach. It is like the strongest of strong mayors. Like that mayor, they have given the mayor, the city has the council or whoever is given the city mayor a lot of power in West Palm Beach. And West Palm Beach is where a lot of things are happening that are going to shape a lot of what happens here in Palm Beach County.
Yes.
So, obviously, if you don't live in West Palm, you don't get to vote. But it is a good idea to keep an eye on They're
Yeah.
having elections for city commission, right?
No, West Palm Beach does not have
you
an
sure?
election this cycle.
I could have sworn I thought I
It's
read
not on the
something.
list
Maybe not.
through the SOE.
I am wrong. Never mind. Don't listen to my preaching.
But
no, I saw something where they were. Hold on.
But we did find out that Greg Weiss, Commissioner, former Mayor, Palm Beach County Commissioner, District 2, has officially announced that he is running for West Palm Beach Mayor.
I thought that was for this cycle.
Yeah,
it's for
no.
next cycle.
It's for next cycle. It's for
That's why.
2026.
So I knew I had read something about it. So I thought it was for this cycle. So okay. So for 2026 is when he's running. Is when that mayorship is up. Okay.
Yeah.
So everything I said still rings true. That being said, it's not for 2025. It's for 2026. So
Yeah.
okay, that's why I had read. I was like, I know I read someone was running for mayor, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, running for mayor right now because I'm in the middle of right now. So
Yeah, so,
Yes, I was half right.
So Greg Weiss, who's a current county commissioner for District 2, he terms out in 2026. So his next stepping stone, I guess you could say, is going to be running for the mayor of West Palm Beach.
So it's something, again, we don't live in West Palm Beach. You don't necessarily pay attention to it, but there is a lot of power there that will have a lot of influence in the county.
And it's also where, our county government is headquartered. So that does make a big difference because there's influence there that you have to look at as far as like how our county charter operates through, the city of West Palm Beach. So
Exactly.
there's a lot of moving parts there that are very interesting when you see how the municipalities and the county, kind of overlap each other.
2026 is going to be lit for municipal elections because in Boca, that's going to be the mayor seat is an open seat. And based off of some of the rumblings that I've heard, and there's 2 other city council seats that'll be up for grabs or that'll be up for re-election. And some of the rumblings that I've heard that if current city council members do, I'm not going to name any names, but current city council members, if any of them do decide to run for the mayor, which is a common thing that we see and happen in city council and mayor situations in a lot of cities, then that will either trigger appointments to open seats or it'll then create an open seat in a city council. So then you would have also an open seat for the mayor and an open seat, meaning no incumbents. And that creates an interesting power vacuum in the South County part of the county.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because it makes it very interesting because that's how you flip city councils
Yeah.
very easily. And it's really important that candidates start to realize how to engage with voters. And, there's a lot of, we like to believe that we live in a straight 2-party system, Republicans good, Democrats bad type of thing. And that's just not the case. We have to be able to earn the votes of the voters. And that's what makes, I think, Palm Beach County very unique. And in reality, if you think about it, in my personal opinion, is that it makes it, that's where you want to be. You would really want to be in a purple county because it always kind of solidifies that the best candidate will win. Your NPAs are educated voters. They're not they're not straight ticket voters. They're just not. So candidates have to earn votes
Yes.
and in order to win here.
And candidates need to know their electorate.
Exactly. They need to understand what what is important for the voters. And I've said this many times, something that's going on in Delray Beach has nothing to do with what's happening in Palm Beach Gardens.
Nope.
So you can't run on the same things. And, a Republican or a Democrat talking point in one area may not work in another. So you really have to understand the strategy and the electorate of what's going on and what's important to the voters. And if you've noticed in Palm Beach County, federal issues do not impact voters here very well. So like on a congressional level, things of that nature, maybe, but also there's this duality that happens here. A Democrat candidate that's in front of TV cameras and voters and everything here is very different than they are on the federal stage. They're very, they want to, Lois Frankel is the best one that does this. Is she acts like a little grandma everywhere she goes, and
Here
she
in South Florida.
and she hands out her checks, and and everybody loves her, and all of the Republicans are like, I don't understand, how does she keep winning and things of that nature, because they don't see the federal side, because she's in their face on a local side. They don't even pay attention to what's happening.
Correct. But
federally.
we, a lot of times, especially on the Republican side, we pay very much attention to what's happening federally because we don't get involved in our community. We're not going to the community meetings. I preach on this all the time. We're not actually talking to the other side of the aisle. We're not actually talking to NPAs. We're not actually out there doing those things. We stay within our little Republican bubble, and we're watching, Right Side Broadcasting, which shout out to them. They do a great job, but they're not talking about local issues. They're talking about federal issues. So therefore, we're watching all the things that are happening on C-SPAN and all these things. And so we're like, how come the people aren't seeing this? Well, they're not watching it. They don't care. They're going to their local, HOA meetings.
Exactly.
And we're thinking that we live in this red county. Well, not we. People. Not we. I do not include myself in this. We do not live in a red county. So, we have to get away from this mentality of if they're a Republican, they're good.
Right.
And therefore, they're the best. And look at what is going. A good candidate really needs to understand, Republican or Democrat, and the Democrats are better at this. And this is where we can take a lesson from their playbook, is really understands, like you're saying, Lois Frankel, how to reach the people in their community. What is going to tickle their ears? What is going to get their attention? What is going to draw them in? And if our Republican candidates are not able to identify those things and actually communicate them to their community, then they're not, both things need to happen. They need to be able to identify what the people want to hear, what the people need, and be able to communicate how they're going to effectively fix those things to the people in order to win.
Yep.
And so there's this big push right now from the Republican Party side to be like, well, if you're, come to the REC meeting or be involved, you're asking Republicans to be involved in your campaign, but you're never around. A lot of these candidates don't want to be around really super intense Republicans because then their message is muffled when they go to their neighbor and they say, neighbor, please vote for me. They're like, well, we know that you're involved in all of these Republican things and we're not going to vote for you. Yes, but neighbor, I want to lower your taxes. Yes, but neighbor, I'm going to solve this problem. Yes, but neighbor, I want, and so we need to pull the noise away from all of the, in local. I'm not talking about the federal stuff.
Right.
I'm not talking about congressional. Obviously, I'm not like, oh, Democrats are great. I'm not saying that.
Right.
Anyway,
It's not
whatsoever.
about sacrificing our values.
No, it is
at
about
all.
knowing who you're speaking to and knowing what you come across as in order to be able to them to hear your message.
That's right.
Because if you come in wearing a bright red MAGA hat and a bright red this, and you're like, I'm a REC member, I'm a card-carrying REC member, I go to this, and you're talking to someone who doesn't really care that much about politics but cares about their roads being fixed, they're going to be like, yeah, but you're in that group.
Yeah.
And I want the person who's not in any group.
Yeah.
So we have to understand who we're trying to message to and not be so insanely tribal with how we have to be a part of this group. And I am a lifelong hardcore Republican, second generation Republican but this is we the locals. We have to focus on what our local electorate wants.
And it's about making sure that a good electable qualified candidate is what is representing our voice. And we have to be able to call a spade a spade. We have to be able to call out candidates if they are off the mark. And that doesn't mean that we're a rhino or that we don't like Republicans or that we don't want Republicans elected. It's about, is this person electable? And our electorate, in their behavior and their patterns of behavior over the last several cycles, lets us know what makes a candidate electable. And this is something that I think that we fall short at as a local party. There's no strategic plan in understanding voters' behavior and how to earn that vote.
Yeah.
Because the more that we earn an MPA vote, we had a 90% turnout in the last election for Republicans.
It's crazy.
And most of our Republican candidates lost.
Yep.
So explain that to me. That means
I can explain for you the sheriff that when you ask the sheriff candidate what he would have done differently both sheriff candidates, what they would have done differently themselves if they were sheriffs during COVID. And one of them started talking about how proud he was that none of his inmates died because they made them make cloth masks to wear in the prison. Some of the guards died, but the cloth masks worked to protect all of their inmates. And he was proud of what he did on that. That's not someone I personally am going to support, even if they are the Republican candidate, the only Republican candidate. And because that is not someone who I want governing me, regardless of what letter is in front of their name. And if that is someone you support, if you heard that person say that, then that's
on
fine.
top of many other
on
things.
top of many other things, but that is something that was specifically said that I was like, that is not someone I can support. That is not someone I can vote for.
Yeah, the Planned Parenthood comment. There
many
were,
things,
there were
but
a lot of things.
that was in that moment. I moderated that debate. I kept my face as still as possible, which anyone who knows me knows that that's a problem.
It's not easy to do.
It's not easy to do. But I was also, one of the reasons I wanted to do that debate was because I wanted to have the opportunity to hear both sides. And so I heard both answers, and I was like, that is not someone who I can vote for, regardless if they're the Republican candidate.
Yeah.
Because I can't, in good conscience, you have to have you want to talk about your moral standing, you want to talk about Republican this or moral standing, the party of the morality, you have to have morals for yourself and say, regardless of the letter in front of that person's name, if they do not uphold my morals, why am I voting for them? Why am I supporting them? And you know what? I don't care if you come at me.
Yeah.
Come at me, bro.
And we have every right to say it.
Yes.
We have every right to say that this is not the ideal candidate and they are not electable. And the biggest thing that our Republican candidates have, and I really want Republican municipality candidates to understand this as well, is that you cannot, how do I want to phrase this without
offending?
Yeah, so you can't attack your opponents. In a negative way. You can't attack their character. You can't attack somebody that has been, part of the legislative apparatus, whether it's local all the way up to federal, for as long as some of our Democrat candidates have been, and not acknowledge some of the good things that they've done. And that's how you get the votes, is by saying, I want to be very clear. I do not like Lois Frankel.
Yes.
I do not like her.
No, she's cuckoo bananas.
I have been in several situations with her where she slurs her words. She doesn't make sense. I'm like, she's totally gone Biden over the last couple years. But people everywhere, she love her. Mm-hmm. They love her. So if you want to go up against somebody like Lois Frankel, you have to be like, thank you for your service, and this is what we need now. Mm-hmm. Yes, you did great things
you brought money back. You did this. You
correct.
did that. And on the flip side, if you're going to go after someone in a negative way, it needs to be after their record.
Yes.
It needs to know and this happened in the Republican primary. The personal attacks in the Republican primary,
the mocking, the smearing
were so bad. I have never been more embarrassed to be a Republican in my entire life than sitting in a room where there was a Republican speaking, making fun of another Republican, and all of the people in the room laughing at the other Republican. All of the Republicans laughing at Republicans. I've never in my life been so embarrassed to be I wanted to distance myself.
I was ashamed.
I was ashamed. I'm not someone who shames easily, obviously.
Right. Yeah, because
it was horrible.
It was so bad.
And then to sit there on the high horse and listen to, I was in an REC meeting last night and listen over and over and over again about the loyalty oath and the loyalty oath and the loyalty oath and the loyalty oath. I'm sorry. Where is your loyalty to supporting a Republican, regardless if they are opposed to your Republican or not?
My favorite part is when they smear their opponent and mock them and criticize
another
them
Republican
and tell them that they're awful, and then go, I don't understand why you didn't support me in November. I'm sorry, you have to earn respect. So you have to earn the ability to be able to say, if you want their voters on your side, you then have to extend the olive branch and you have to communicate with them and talk to them in a way that's respectful. Because this, I'm telling you, and I'm sure I've said this before, but our primary is what made us lose in November. And a lot of people do not understand that.
They think that we should just fall lockstep in because that's how Democrats do.
Correct.
Democrats fall in lockstep with the Democrat candidate because they will vote Democrat no matter who, right? Blue no matter who.
Yep.
I can't do that. I have to go in the voting booth and vote for the person that I believe is going to be the best candidate. Most of the time, 99% of the time, it is the Republican.
Right.
But when I sat there and heard what that Republican had to say, or there was another Republican on the ballot in November of someone who there's no way I would ever elect that person. That person harassed me personally. Was not someone I would want to meet in a dark alley because I'd be scared physically for my life because they are an unstable person who had sexually harassed people at the supervisor of elections office. Why would I want to vote for that person regardless of what letter is in front of their name?
Right.
I cannot vote in good conscience for someone. So then again, I'm going to repeat myself, for then you to come at me because I didn't publicly support this Republican candidate as a Republican Party member, as an REC member, when that person is someone who I wouldn't trust to be dog catcher. Well, actually, maybe dog catcher. Maybe elect that person to be dog catcher. Come to think of it. Maybe that might be a good job. Channel some of the rage into chasing dogs. It's just hypocritical, and I'm over it.
Yeah, I am too. And this is one of the reasons why I resigned as a regional director, is because of the fact that I felt like I was getting strong-armed by the membership, that I couldn't be honest about candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of put me in a very awkward position when I saw a lot of unworthy candidates
Mm-hmm.
earning our primary vote. And so it was very frustrating to watch that process. And then you watched the party itself, the board, the executive board, do nothing to rein this in and to unite the party and to help us bring people in and strategize and to work to make sure that we were successful in November. Because you have to understand is that once you have that primary, you have literally like 4 weeks to be able to run in November. So you're actually running for November the whole time. So if you're cutting off your feet just to beat a primary opponent, you're gonna lose in November if you're not strategically focused.
And knowing again this. So we talk about. Sorry, Stu. Were you
I
going
was
to say
going to
something?
say that's because the MPAs won't vote for you.
That's
Right.
correct. So we talk a lot about, Jessica, about how to vet a candidate, or how what makes a candidate qualified. So I think we should probably touch on
Sure.
giving some people some tools on how to do that. Number one is, does the person have any experience in their community?
Yes.
Do they understand? And if they don't, have they at least, if they're new to the community, I'm not opposed to that, if they've taken the time to actually get to know the community. If they've taken time to go to community meetings, if they've taken time to talk to community leaders, to talk to you, then and ask you, and if they ask you what is a big thing that's important to you in the community? What are your things that you like about your community? What are the things that you don't like? What do you want to see in a leader? Those are that's number one. And then
That's
second,
a true representation.
right.
Because they're not taking in their personal bias. They're not, just on their own personal opinions and what they think should happen. They're being very receptive to the entire community as a whole.
And they're identifying the issues that are affecting your community and giving you solutions on how they are going to change those. So I would say that's number one. My opinion. And number two is are they willing to work? Because if a candidate is not working, so what do candidates need to be doing up until it gets closer to really when they're asking for your vote? Out in the community, door knocking into the community, getting their petitions signed, fundraising, asking you for money, asking your neighbor for money, saying, hey, I need, because they recognize how a campaign has to operate. And as much as we don't want to say that it could be grassroots, yes. But I tell you, having run campaigns, you need money.
Money makes it easier.
Money makes
You can win without a whole lot of money, but the more money you have, the easier your campaign,
the
and
more
your
reach you have. Yeah.
Right. The message is easily able to be
Permeated out.
exactly.
So, and you don't have to have a ton. There are lots of campaigns who win with, we all know the case study of Marcy versus Weinroth, where Marcy, for those who don't know, Commissioner Woodward had $40,000? and Bob Weinroth had $600,000.
Yep.
And who's the commissioner now? Sorry.
And that was because she was able to reach NPA voters.
She was able to identify the messaging and communicate it.
And she was a good negotiator. Now, Trump, when he was in the Oval Office the other day and he was signing a bunch of executive orders, he talked about the ambassador to
the special envoy to the Middle East.
Yes, that's
Wynkoff or Wycliffe or Winroth. Not Wynroth.
He mentioned that he was a good negotiator, and Trump said we need more negotiators. And I was like, yes, that's what we need in our candidates in Palm Beach County. We need negotiators. We have the right talking points. We have the right platform. We have promises made, promises kept. All of that stuff is true. At the end of the day, the Republican has the right
message.
Yes, the right communication, the right message, what we want to see in our local government, which is America first, local first type policies.
Small conservative measures in government.
You have to, in Palm Beach County, you have to be able to negotiate to get people on your side to buy what you are selling. And if we are not able to do that, if candidates are just like, well, I don't understand, I'm a Republican, I should win, I'm better. You have to be able to sell that to NPAs and soft-leaning Dems, because at the end of the day, even with a 90% turnout, many of our candidates lost by 10 plus points. That means even if we got an extra 10, 15, or maybe even 20,000 Republican voters, that does not mean that it would mean that we're red if we had more, Republican voters than Democrats, but it's not enough majority to be able to win, because we're never going to hit that 90% threshold again.
We have to get the NPAs.
This cycle we'll be lucky if we can maintain 75 to 80%. Going into 2026, that's still high. That's
That's ambitious for a governor.
Exactly.
For gubernatorial.
Exactly. So your really average is about, 40 to 60%, depending on the area and all of that kind of stuff. So if we're even getting people involved enough, then hopefully with Trump in office and being so transparent, more people will want to get involved with their local stuff and know when elections are going on and things of that nature. So that works in our favor. But we're only, if, like I said, if we get 80%, that's still on the high side. But even if we increase our Republican registrations, we still need NPAs to win here, period. And that's the thing is, it's like, people want to call me a rhino or say that, I don't want to get Republicans elected. And that's not the case. I want to get them elected, but we have to be able to look at the strategy and the electorate to be able to do that. And that's what a lot of these are Republican, and they mean well. I want to be very clear too.
Yes.
They mean well. And I do think a lot of, except for a few,
there's some bad actors.
If more Republicans would have gotten elected, I think they would have done a good job being, in office. They just weren't good candidates. And, sometimes that happens.
Okay.
I said some.
Some. Yes, that's true. Some is a key word.
Yeah. So it's like you have to be able to understand. You have to take the emotion out of it. You have to be able to look at things logically. If you are too emotional and you think that and you constantly think that the government is out to get you here locally, how are you contributing to the joy and beautification of your county or your city? Like, if you're just bashing it, then why live here? Then what's the point? Like,
if you actually want to make a change, you have to get involved.
And you have to
understand what's going on, and then you can influence and change. And that's why, again, going back to municipal elections, if you live in a city that's having a municipal election, it is incumbent upon you to vet your candidates and participate in that election process. Because I know, in Boca, 11% of people vote for the municipal elections. That means 11% of the city of residents decide for the entire city. And then everyone complains. Everyone complains about the traffic. Everyone complains about the construction. Everyone everyone complains about this. There's speaking of construction right now. Pay attention. The Boca City government campus needs to be rebuilt. It really does. It's really old. It's very dated, and it needs to be redone. So the city is entertaining proposals, and there's a lot of controversy right now because some of the proposals are including things like commercial real estate, commercial, businesses, some hotel type things and stuff that's going to increase traffic. So if you don't know the government center, if you live in the city, the government center is the government center property is Palmetto Park Road and 2nd Avenue over there across from the library. So the library, all of those are city properties. There's the library, there's the sheriff's office, the police department, the building division department, and then across the street is the government building and then some community center stuff. So all of it is the buildings are super dated, full of mold. They definitely need to be redone. So not contesting that. And it has been on the plan for the city for like 30 years, the master plan to redo this. But adding in commercial businesses, adding in hotels, that there is nowhere for traffic to go. You cannot expand those streets. There's nowhere for it to go. And it's just going to cause congestion. And our city council members, none of them live in that area. They all live west of I-95.
And a lot of them promote the 15-minute city ideal.
And they don't even live in the 15-minute city.
Exactly.
So it's important. So that's the first question is, do you live in the area that you are going to be making decisions on? And so I'm not faulting them. They do live in the city of Boca, but they don't live in the downtown. I live a mile from downtown. I drive through downtown all the time.
Right.
And that area that they're talking about, I go there all the time. I take my kids. We're at the library. Or there's a bunch of stuff there it's our neighborhood, close to our neighborhood. It's not our neighborhood, but it's close. And it's my city. It's where we go to do all the things. And now they're like, oh, we're going to add this and we're going to add this. And it can make traffic. So pay attention to what's going on. Go to the meetings. Watch them online. So again, this will all be decided, I'm sure, before the 2026 cycle. But that would be a question. So knowing what's going on in your city, it allows you, going back to how you vet your candidates, allows you to ask the right questions. Say, okay, I do not think that we should have commercial, if there was an election going on in Boca, I'd say, I don't think we should have commercial buildings here. What is your opinion and your plan, and what are you planning to vote for the downtown? And if it doesn't align with what you want, even if they're the most conservative Republican candidate, maybe that's not the right candidate. I don't know. I'm not telling you to vote for. I'm just saying they need to have small city issues are usually bipartisan. That's just why not bipartisan, are non-party related, which is why they are nonpartisan elections.
Right.
And knowing your issues allows you to pick the right candidate for what aligns for your views. Is my point.
I think one thing that we've learned, especially since 2020 and having a supermajority in the House, in Congress, in the state of Florida, is that too much of anything.
Too much of anything is a bad thing.
Is not necessarily a good thing. So it's like we have a lot of Republican overreach going on right now in the state sector. Now, this doesn't mean that they're bad Republicans.
No.
This just means that there's nobody tilting the scales. So it's like if a Republican wants something, it's kind of like, you get it. And
whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, because not all ideas from Republicans are good ideas. I mean, hello, who wrote the Patriot Act and signed it into law?
Exactly.
Just saying. There's been a lot of things that Republicans have done that have not been the greatest things because a lot of times they don't ask the and then what questions, or it's just a power grab. So not all ideas from Republicans are great ideas, and there does need to be a balance. I agree. I was actually going to I use the example with my kids when when they'll ask me things, is this bad? Because, they're young. Is this good for you? Is this food good for you? Is this food bad for you? Is this food good for you? And so, because we talk a lot about health and making wise choices in our house. And, I try not to go too extreme on most things. And I say a little bit is good for you. If it's like a junk food, you may have a little bit. Some junk food we don't eat at all. But you can have a little bit. And I use the example because they always put their own salt. I let them put their own salt on things. And I'm always like, you got to put a little bit because it tastes really good with a little bit of salt, right? Yeah. Okay. But they've put too much salt. I'm like, taste it. I want them to taste it. And I'm freaking out. It's disgusting. I'm like, exactly. So too much of a good thing can be too much altogether. So we have to do things in moderation. We have to do things in steps. We have to look at the big picture of things sometimes in order to make those decisions.
We need to make sure that, if we're looking at Republican representatives going into the House, are they going to help balance things out? Are they going to call out Republican overreach?
Yeah, because that's when it scares when they toe the line too much.
Yeah,
and they
so
don't
it's
call
like
it out.
so it's like over the last couple sessions, Palm Beach County had a lot of unfunded mandates. It was like laws and restrictions came down from the state, and it tied Palm Beach County's hands where they didn't have the funds to. And I'm not saying like, oh wow, how they didn't have the funds with a $7 billion budget. It's just the way that it's not allocated because of the way that the budget works. So it's like they have to kind of scramble and try to figure out how to fit a square into a round hole because of the fact that these things are being pushed down with no say from the county. There's nothing, and it's funny because the 2025 Palm Beach County legislative agenda came out, and they actually kind of mentioned, please stop with the unfunded mandates, because like it's not fair for you to make laws at the state level and push them down and expect the county level to be able to handle it. Because Palm Beach County is an influenced area. We have a big budget, all of that kind of stuff. But we have many small counties in Florida as well that don't have $7 billion budgets. So it's hard for them to comply with these unfunded mandates because our representatives aren't saying like, okay, how does this represent, big counties? How does this represent small counties? Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? What's the and then what factor that we talk about so much? And it's up to us to tell them that, and then what factor, like, okay, you're going to do that, but then what happens? There was a lot of things in the 2022 cycle that came down regarding elections because of what happened in 2020. So there was a lot of, you had to have 2 people at every manned, drop box and all of that kind of stuff.
But you have to pay
right
people to do that.
Right.
Costs money. So if you're yelling and screaming at the supervisor of elections office and get kicked out and banned for life because you're screaming at them about their budget, then maybe you should know that those things come from the state and you go yell at the state.
Right.
I mean, Tallahassee's further away on purpose.
Right.
I mean, not on
Not
purpose,
really,
but
yeah.
kind of now. Now I think they enjoy it.
Right.
They're like, bye.
And so it's very interesting when we, it's like you have to understand kind of how everything works. And we have so many people in our municipalities, and watch who gets elected in the municipalities in March, because those are going to be your next state representatives, your next state
County
senators,
commissioners,
your
city
next
council,
county commissioners,
school board,
school
sometimes.
boards. Yep. So, I mean, we're starting to hear, it's like, and what we've realized more and more, especially since 2020, is that we have election season now. It is, like you're going to see in probably about 6 to 8 months a whole slew of candidates coming out for 2026. And then from that moment on, it's going to be nonstop until qualifying.
I need a vacation.
And then, hopefully, we at least have a, Republican running in every race, or in a lot of cases, we'll have 10 Republicans running in a single
one race and no one running in another race.
Right. We had, what was it? In last cycle, we had like 6 people in CD 23. And we had three or 4 in CD 22.
I think 3.
And nobody went against Sheila McCormick in CD 20.
Nope.
Nobody. And she was up for ethics violations.
Yep.
Like,
how?
I'm like, I don't understand.
Because, and for the record, everyone's like, well, I live here. Well, you know what? That's why that's why I'm not against people moving to go run in a specific place. The thing is if you're going to go do that, get to know the community. Like, if you're going to they're going to accuse you of carpetbagging and accuse you of these things, and that's fine. Let them do it. But then come back at it and say, no, but I've been spending X amount of time. I've been spending, I will say, for whatever happened with Bill's campaign, he did a really good job getting into the community, going to community meetings, talking to community leaders, understanding what the issues were in that district, and really trying to find solutions to meet that district's needs,
Yep.
which is something I don't see a lot of candidates doing. Even in CD22, there was a candidate who was new to the area and didn't really understand the district's needs in CD22. So really and truly, I think Joe Kaufman was another good one who did that. He also really
Yep.
got to know what the issues were. He was the nominee for District 23 for congressional districts, and normally, obviously, we don't talk a lot about federal campaigns, but talking more specific about candidates, I think is what we're looking at right now in this conversation. And he was also one who really was like, he knew how much money, like he really knew his stuff on appropriations and things like that, and was able to speak to that to people.
And
in the
he
community.
really scared Moskowitz because of the fact that
Moskowitz
he
spent a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
a lot of money.
And if you noticed, Moskowitz has gone way right.
Yeah, he's planning to run for governor.
Well, of course he is.
So in a Republican state, so he's got to try to make himself not look like a Smurf.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens between him and Pizzo.
I'm almost more excited to watch that primary than I am to watch the Republican primary, because whatever happens in the Republican primary, the Republican's going to win. But it's going to be interesting to watch the Democrats play and how hard they're going to go, how hard to the left they're going to try to go, and this
how far to the right, you mean?
No, because they have to get their base to vote for them for their primary.
Yep.
So I would challenge you to make plans now to watch the Democrat primary closely, because they are going to show us how to do what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Because they are good at that, playing just enough to the left or just enough to the right in order to get their primary, but not so much that they alienate the NPAs, because they've been able to continue winning, right?
Yep.
In a lot of these mixed areas. So I think it'll be very interesting to watch. I mean, he's not going to win the governor, but I really am curious how any of the Democrats that do run for the gubernatorial seat play to their base while knowing that they're in a very Republican state.
Yeah.
I mean, DeSantis won by 20 points?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Charlie Crist was a terrible candidate, but
right.
But that's the point.
Right, but also having a strong candidate that DeSantis didn't come out bashing Chris. He just did his own thing. He's like, this is what I do. This is how it is. This is who I am. He went everywhere. He was everywhere.
It helped that Chris wasn't necessarily easy to make. I mean, he was easy to make fun of, but not that bad. Not like Nikki Fried.
No,
if Nikki Fried would have been the nominee.
Oh, God, right.
Oh, my gosh. The memes would have been off the charts.
She's been freaking out lately, too. It's been really funny.
Oh, man, I hope she runs for governor again. That'd be fun. Yeah. I'd like to see her and Pizzo and Moskowitz in a little.
It was really
tussle.
funny because it was like it was Evan Powers, and I think it was Randy Fine. I could be mistaken, but they were like blasting her on Twitter, like saying, "Please, Nikki, run again, please, please, please."
Trolls, trolls.
We nominate Nikki. We endorse Nikki.
Nikki. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. And by the way, none of the people that we're talking about have actually declared to run. We're just making this conversation based off of cryptic texts and rumors on the street. So before anyone comes at us for saying anything that's not true, nobody's filed to run. We're just
that we know of. I haven't looked.
Actually, yeah. Can you look?
Yeah.
Let's look and see. Let's look and see who's filed for 2026. That's always fun to see. Because people, like she said, it's election season. People file 2 years in advance. I mean, there is something to be said for that, because then you can start fundraising.
Yeah.
And again, goes back to what I said before about a good candidate, someone who knows how to, fundraise and plan for all of the expenses and supporting their volunteers with that, and showing volunteer appreciation. That all is done with having a little bit of a war chest. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm trying to breathe and see, but I would say, what are we in? We're in March. We're in January.
We're in January 2025.
January 2025. Yeah, I would say 6 to 8 months puts us at like July to September. Yeah, yep. I think you're right. I think July to September. Everyone will get through the summer. Probably like July. So September, October, we'll probably start to see those filings. So I wonder if they'll make any changes to qualifying time. I mean, up the.
Do you think they'll change the primary instead of having it in?
That's what I mean.
August to having it in
March. I would like that.
I would
That'd be
love
great.
that. I mean, we
It gives
can
the candidates a break, at least the ones that have
And it
primaries.
gives the electorate a break too.
Yeah, it helps simplify things, and if you really look at it, because it's like it separates it so that it's a little bit easier to understand, because it happens so fast. Our primary cycle, well, I shouldn't say that. Our primary cycle seems to last forever.
1,000 years. Well, because people file now, and then primary is not till August
Yeah.
of 2026. Lord Almighty, this is ridiculous.
So we have 9 candidates running for governor right now.
Ooh, who is it?
Nobody that's
Nobody we know.
no. Sendiar Bendy, I think they ran for Senate.
Who?
Surinder Singh Bendi, Bendi, NPA.
From Broward?
No, I think they ran for a Senate. They ran against Scott.
Rick Scott?
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know.
They were a no name, like nobody, but that name sounds familiar. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Mallory Demiche is an MPA. Inslee Evans is an MPA.
Inslee Evans.
That
No.
sounds familiar too.
No, I just think the names.
Kyle Gibson is an MPA.
All the MPAs?
Yeah. Matthew Taylor is a Republican. Christopher Powell is a Democrat.
If there's multiple NPAs, they have a primary then, right? An NPA primary?
No, I don't know if that's how that works or not.
It has to.
Don't they? Since they're non-affiliated, don't they?
No, because NPA, you could be a registered NPA. You can be a registered independent. You can be a registered libertarian. You can be a registered Green Party. Like, you can register for all of those different parties. So if you register yourself as as nothing, then you get NPA. You be put into the NPA bucket. They can't run all those NPA candidates on the ballot.
Right.
They have to have one candidate who's the NPA. So they're going to have an NPA primary.
Right.
Oh, that'll be interesting. I mean, we'll see how many qualify, but
right.
that's
Exactly.
key.
Because this could be just candidates putting their name in to be able to fundraise and raise money and
grift,
and
pay themselves.
Correct. All of that kind of stuff. So you'll notice, like, I don't know how many candidates there were for president, but it's like they didn't actively campaign. They didn't, but they put their hat in the ring to be able to establish, funds.
Money, money, money.
Yeah. So our CFO election is up in 2026 as well.
Yes.
Joe Gruters, who was endorsed by President Trump, Frank Coolidge, and
Calvin Coolidge. Name the movie.
and Benjamin Harboy, HORBOWY, Harboy, maybe. But those are all Republicans running for that. So
CFO. And then we also have Attorney General, right? Isn't Attorney General seat open? I mean, up for grabs, because I know DeSantis has to appoint someone to take Ashley Moody's spot, because Ashley Moody was appointed to Secretary of, what was she appointed to? Oh, Senate.
She
took over
Marco Rubio's seat,
Marco Rubio's
Mhm.
seat.
which, just as a reminder, she will hold that seat until the next general election in 26. If she files to run, she will run as it becomes a normal election. So she could file to run as the incumbent to keep that seat, or she could not, and then it'll become an open seat. So
Does that mean both the seats are open?
which both?
No, because
No.
Scott
Rick Scott just got reelected, so he's up for another 6 years.
And then we have all of our state senator races, our state representative races.
Are people already filing?
For state senate? Yes, District 2, 4, 6, 8.
What about
10,
our
12.
district? Has people filed down there or close to ours?
So we have
I'm in
District 26. It's our state seat. Is Yvette Drucker, Rick Roth, and David Silvers.
They've
So
all already filed.
all filed. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's going to be nobody's running against Tina Polsky in seat 20 yet.
She's termed out, so that means no one's running in that yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Interesting.
She did. She is listed as active here, so she may have filed just to keep her.
No, she's termed out.
No, I know,
Oh.
but it's saying that she's active for her campaign financing.
Oh,
So,
for her financing.
yeah.
Oh, she'll keep that active in case she runs for something else, and then she can transfer the money.
correct.
Yeah,
and
I
that's
still
the
wonder if
thi-
she's going to run for county commissioner. I I've heard she's not, but I don't know.
I
She
don't
might.
know. She might. I don't see her going away anytime soon. So
No, I wonder if
it
she'll
would
run
be
for
very
state.
interesting.
She might run against Peggy for state house.
Oh.
That could be interesting. We're just spitballing here.
Yeah.
We are literally just.
This
Yeah.
is how the gossip rumor
Yeah,
mill
this is
starts.
how rumors start. All of a sudden, we're going to get a call from Peggy. What are you talking about? Sorry, we're just talking. Should probably stop doing that. Oh, man. We're trying to get Peggy on as a guest. She is
Yeah.
in Tallahassee a lot. She's very busy. So because there was rumor, well, not rumor, the governor was trying to call for a special session, and the Republican leadership said no, which I find very interesting.
It's very interesting, especially with the new speaker. So
which is Perez.
right.
Perez.
So he didn't come out very rah-rah like
DeSantis says Kumba.
yeah, like DeSantis was hoping that he would, I think. So that's going to be very interesting. His words were, "It's premature at this point."
Which I don't disagree with. I feel like if we're going to have a special session, shouldn't it be to solve our insurance crisis? Like, I don't know. I don't disagree with calling a special. So Governor DeSantis wanted to call a special session in order to address how Florida is going to respond to Trump's migration changes. So
Right.
how are we as Floridians, from the state government level going to do in order to help follow the new executive orders and things like that, because we technically are a border to the water state, so not border to Mexico but water, which lots of people like to land on our shores here
In boats.
and
So
float cocaine. So
I actually found out something, and I don't know if it's true, and I haven't been able to find out if it's true, but it sounds like it's true. That
again, so rumors get started, Jessica.
No, but I think it's good for people to know, because everybody kind of was like, what's the whole idea with the Gulf of America?
Oh yeah.
So
I can't find if that's true or not either. I feel like that's a rumor.
I know. So, but if it is, it's genius. So Biden passed or signed an executive
Or
order.
whoever was signing stuff for him.
Okay, good point.
His ghost signer.
So the executive order was that there were going to be, they tried to strong arm Trump by setting an executive order saying that no drilling was going to be allowed in the Gulf of Mexico.
And they wrote it in a way that Trump can't just like there's this like,
right, he
thing.
can't just undo it.
Right.
So by changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, then the Gulf of Mexico no longer exists. So then therefore his executive order is null and void.
I think it's a rumor. I don't know. That sounds too simplistic.
It
To me.
sounds genius.
Yes, genius if it's true. Otherwise, it's just too easy.
And these are the things that we need to start looking at locally. Like just little plays on words that we can be able to help get better results.
Can we change downtown Boca to the Broken Sound and see if that will get the attention from our city council members that it should? They'll care more about downtown than they will their, Listen, it's part of the deal, right? I don't know.
So, a couple things that I do want to mention coming back to Palm Beach County before
All
we
right,
finish
let's do
up today is that
Shoot,
the
man.
2025 state legislative agenda is online. So
Yes.
if you want to know what our county is looking to get out of Tallahassee this next session, Palm Beach County Days is March 4th.
4th and 5th.
4th and 5th. If you are interested in going to Palm Beach County Days, you can sign up on the website. It's $175 through tomorrow. That gets you to like all of the little like county activities. There's lunches, dinners, events, whatever, so that you can be able to attend that and kind of see what the agenda is for those couple days. So it's a great way to learn about how the county and the state work together. And the legislative agenda is 59 pages.
That's a lot of pages.
So we are very busy as
Lot
a
yeah.
county to work with our state legislatures of getting things done. And so looking through this agenda, I want to say, like I kind of just started looking at it yesterday. So there were a few things in here that I thought were very interesting. Nothing crazy like, electric car mandate, like there's
Nothing crazy controversial.
yeah, like crazy left leaning or anything like that. This looks like a good legislative, not that I wouldn't change some things, let me be clear, but for the most part, pretty transformational, basic stuff that just kind of helps solidify us as a county. One of the things that was in here that I thought was really interesting was the aspects. I'm trying to find it really quick. Oh, there's a whole thing, unfunded mandates. So it says the state legislature has frequently passed legislation that compels local governments to provide a service, program, or benefit without providing the appropriate funding or a funding source. This compromises local government's ability to provide services requested by their local communities by diverting resources to these state-directed unfunded mandates or cost shifts. In addition, as more and more mandates are created, local governments are faced with a burden of using tax dollars to finance functions that they have little control over. If this state requires a local government to provide a service or a higher service, the state must do a better job of identifying costs to local governments when passing new legislation and must provide funding or a funding source for every legislative initiative that imposes a cost on counties. Palm Beach County opposes new unfunded mandates and unfunded state to county cost shifts. Additionally, Palm Beach County opposes any action by the state to preempt home rule authority of local governments or to restrict local governments' ability to levy ad valorem taxes. So that what I thought was a big one.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really good.
So I want to follow that through and find out. Stu and I are going to Palm Beach County Days. So we
might be, we'll see.
We registered.
Maybe if we get donations.
There you go. Yeah.
We'll see.
It's very interesting because you get to watch this stuff get voted on. You get to watch it kind of go through committees. You can kind of get the ideas of where representatives and senators are on these things. So if something's on the legislative agenda, it's a great thing. Also on the county website, Casey Denny, who does our legislative affairs for Palm Beach County, she does updates when they're in session. So so you can she'll do a thing of updates. You click it and it's like this cool little form that kind of briefs everything. You can click it. She'll link it to the videos that were in committees and gives you all of the information. So it's like she's just kind of reporting it. There's no bias. There's no right or left leaning.
It's just telling you what's going on.
Information.
And it's all the stuff that's related to the legislative agenda from Palm Beach County.
Correct.
So legislative session starts in March. March 4th or 3rd, I think it opens.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit earlier, somewhere right in there, right? It
yeah,
opens then.
something like
that. It's
a
60-day session, so just kind of throw a little bit of education out there. It's a 60-day session by the law, Constitution of the state of Florida. The only thing that the state legislature is required to do in that 60-day session is pass the balanced budget. Everything else is superfluous, is all of the laws and repeals of laws or whatever they come in. So, but this is so it's only 60 days. And so there is a lot that happens really fast.
Yep.
So, we've got a couple months before, we got a month and a half before it starts.
And that's what throws a lot of people off because a lot of people hear something and then it's over and they're like, I didn't get a chance to call. So take some time. Maybe in our show notes we can link the bills. I can do
from my Florida house.
Yeah, we can do that link, that website, and I'll attach the PDF for the state legislative agenda. Maybe I'll put that on our website as well.
So we'll put that stuff so we can kind of, so if there is, take a few minutes. There's a lot in there. Nobody's expecting anybody.
59 pages.
Right. Well, that's just for Palm Beach County. I'm talking about if you want to find out bills for the whole state or things that are going on that the legislators are bringing from all over the state. You go into the My Florida House .gov website, and you can look through all the bills that have been proposed. And so, a lot of times they're done by category. You can kind of sort how you want and find out what's being proposed from legislatures from all over the state. I also, fun fact, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but they alternate. The state and the House alternate year by year which house has the bill bringing authority and the one that has to bring the companion bills. So they can write companion bills, but there's like a back and forth. I'm not sure where we are. If there's any of our legislators are watching, you can let us know. Maybe a question for Rep. Pizzo or Gossett Simon or something. But I know, so know that there's SB is House is a Senate bill, and then HB is a House bill. So Senate bill and House bill, and they have to have a companion bill in order for them to go to the governor's desk and be passed in 3 committees and at the House floor or in the chambers. So take some time, take a look, see if there's anything that you want to be keeping an eye on, and know who this bill sponsor, where it's going, and that way, as things start happening in March, you can start paying. You can check it, and you picked your 4 bills that you're watching or your 5 bills that you're watching. It doesn't mean that new stuff's not going to be submitted, but I think there's a cutoff where bills can be submitted.
Yes, yes, there is deadlines.
So there's deadlines. So I believe we can get those for you guys, but that's the way that we keep our representatives accountable.
And also, and another aspect of that is you can look up your local representative on the House website, and it will tell you what bills they've sponsored. So you can see then what they're working on for you locally.
Yes, and it is your representative's responsibility as well to advocate for funding for projects. So if there are things that you need to happen in your city, if there's road infrastructure projects, arts projects, all of these things, now is the time to be contacting your representative and saying, hey, there's a section of road in my area that needs help. And I've gone to my city, we need state money. So can you help me figure out a way to get some of that money? Yep. Because that is we have a very, very large budget in the state of Florida. We're a very, very, very solvent state. We're very much in the black. So we have the opportunity. Your representative can go and advocate for your community to bring that money back for projects. So if you know there's something going on, now is the time. If you wait until February, if you wait until March or April, it's not going to happen.
That's right.
Now's the time.
Now's the time.
Now's the time.
When it's non-election season, this is where you get the information about what's going on. So then what's next election is that you're picking the best candidates that was representing those types of issues.
Yes.
So it all kind of works together. And, we're going to do our best this year to be able to start breaking this down for all of our listeners. I gave you a lot of information. A lot of people probably don't even know what what the state Palm Beach County legislative agenda is, or the fact that it's 59 pages and what it entails. So, there's a lot of information out there. You can, budget as well. This is a good time to review the budget so that you know what's going on, because they start creating the new budget and then it has to be finalized by September. So everything kind of starts all over again. All
over, yeah.
Yep. So we don't get a break. There's no downtime in we the locals here.
That's why I need a vacation, y'all. Yeah, no downtime. But this is exactly like Jessica said, because it helps to. If you're starting to watch things, and I know we need to wrap up, but if you're starting to watch things that are happening in Tallahassee, and even if it's not your representative, if there's a bill that you care about and you see another representative from another area bringing that bill forward, you can call them and say, hey, I'm not one of your constituents, but I'll support your bill and I'll donate to your campaign if you get this bill passed for your next reelection. We're not limited to just supporting. Yes, obviously our vote matters, but our vocal support, if you know people that live in that person's district, or you want to donate, or if it's a district not too far from you, and you want to go travel there to help support them for their reelection, now's the time to start looking at not just what's happening in your district, but a little bit beyond it and say, no, this person's bringing a bill that I really support, and I'm going to give them my support if they pass it.
And then you can call your representative and say, hey, I want to know what you're feelings are about this bill.
Yeah.
And then they could tell you things that maybe you're not aware of regarding that bill that leaves a bad taste in your mouth or whatever.
Or
because
it's better than you thought or
right,
whatever.
Right.
Either way.
Because the thing of it is that you have to understand our representatives have the most information. And it's not like they're not trying to be transparent. It's just that 60 days goes by so fast. It is so hard for them to be able to communicate effectively to get feedback from constituents. So it's our job to kind of do this research and kind of encourage them along and ask them what we want, and tell them what we want them to pay attention to.
Yeah. So real quick before we wrap up, just our next episodes are February 6th and February 20th. We're going to have our favorite state committee man, Joe LaFauci, will be here on the 6th. We're very excited to have him join our episode. And we are working on lining up some great guests for the next couple of months. So definitely mark your calendars, stay tuned. And that's all I got, Jess.
Yeah. So our state committee man, as Josie just mentioned, he actually is the chair of CD22 for the RPOF. And I was elected to be his vice chair or his
Congratulations.
alternate. So I do have Thank you. So I do have a position on the RPOF executive board, I guess you could say. So that's very exciting. So you're going to get lots of updates as far as what's going on in the party level, on the state level, the local level, and then I think it's going to be very exciting to see what happens on a state level for this cycle. So I'm excited to be at that level to be able to give everybody more information and let them know what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just saw, I don't know if this was earlier, but that Trump just signed an executive order to release the JFK, RFK Sr. and
Really? I
Martin
heard that
Luther
was
King
coming
stuff.
yesterday. Did he sign it?
I believe they showed him signing an executive order. And
Wow.
Elon Musk, somebody posted it, and Elon Musk posted it right after that. So
Wow, that's exciting. So you're going to see that you're going to see Trump everywhere. And I want to, big shout out to conservative media. I was going to mention this too. If you guys aren't watching, definitely you should be on X. We keep calling it Twitter, but everybody should be on X because you're getting the information so fast. And not to take it all as gospel, not that it's all true, but it gives you a good idea of where the direction and stuff is going. And the more the conservative media is putting Trump in front of the voters, and the more that we're going to gain more public support, and it's going to help our Republican candidates. So make sure that you're watching everything. Be a good informed voter. Anything you want to follow up with, Josie?
I shouldn't have got on X because it looks like we're having trouble with Hegseth getting through because Murkowski and sorry, I know this is not local stuff, but this is what happens when I open X.
There's three.
Dangerous Collins. They
McConnell.
wrote these long ass things that nobody's gonna read talking about at the very thank you at the very bottom. Therefore, it's like they copied each other. I'm telling you, these people
crazy.
So these are the holdouts.
I will vote against the nomination.
Yeah, for what we have three we have a majority of 3 in the Senate, so we can lose 3 votes and JD Vance still be the tie.
Yeah.
So this is their last holdout. This is their last opportunity.
That's great. Coming for him.
Exactly.
You want to talk about rhinos? Those are the rhinos. We're not rhinos.
That's right.
Those people are the rhinos. Golly.
They are literally the stopgap. So check their funds. That's all I got to say. Check their funds.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Jeez. All right. Sorry. That's why I don't check my phone, but I wanted to see him sign it. He did sign it. Yes. I confirm second source here.
So what? We're 3 days into the administration, and
guess what? I'm not tired of winning. Not tired of winning yet.
It's like Christmas every day
except for the mRNA
Republicans.
vaccines. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. I think we should not be using taxpayer dollars to fund AI to fund mRNA vaccines to fight cancer. I'm against that. But
okay,
everything else I'm good with.
I agree with you, and I wish we had more time
I know.
because I would actually. They messed up by saying that it was a vaccine. It was the terminology was off and should not have been used in that way. It was about cancer detection and then being able to create a counteraction to that using mRNA. So 2 different things, not necessarily vaccine. I just don't think was the right word for it. However, it's innovative type stuff. So I do not agree with a vaccine, that aspects of things, but I am curious to see how it can help us.
We'll see. Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Every other than that, all I do is win, win, win every day, day. This is great.
Oh, Delray
man.
Beach actually. It was on their agenda, or I haven't followed up, but they were going to be talking about removing fluoride from the water.
Oh, and Boca doesn't have fluoride in the water, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was just
I didn't know that.
I didn't
was
either.
going to ask. I was
I
going to actually
tweeted-
find out.
I tweeted something. I retweeted something and I think I tagged Mayor Singer or tagged somebody from Boca. And I think I have to look back, but I think it was he retweeted it. He like responded to my tweet and said Florida. And he said, I went back and looked and it's never been added. But
That's
Boca
awesome.
doesn't have it.
Okay, that's awesome.
So if anybody has any correction to that. But I'm also going to say, I'm going to see Boca is entering this year is Boca Centennial
Yes, big
celebration.
deal.
Woo!
Yeah, big deal.
So there's going to be lots of fun stuff going on throughout the city. There's a big party, a big event on Saturday in Meisner. So, it's a good time if you live in the city to get involved, go out.
It's
in your
not too
community.
cold.
That's what Uggs are for. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have any Uggs. I'm wearing flip-flops. Nope, flip-flops. My toes are freezing. Oh, well.
Do you own shoes, Joseph?
I do own shoes. I own lots, and actually, I own a lot of shoes.
I'm just kidding.
more than my husband wishes that I did, because they take up a lot of space. But
Yeah.
I like flip-flops.
I don't blame you.
But yeah. So anyway, that's all I got.
All right, so be sure to stay tuned for our next episodes. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at We the Locals FL. You can find us online on our website at WeTheLocalsPodcast.com. You can email us at WeTheLocalsFL@gmail.com if you're interested in sponsorships or if you have any questions. You can reach us there. You can check out all of our episodes on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Have a great night, everybody, and be sure to stay local. Bye.